You're watching the MEO Rip Curl Pro. Portugal just coming off a pretty exciting heat, waiting for the decision with Michel Perez versus Frederico Moraes. The heat closes out just like we thought it would end, both up after the horn, so we didn't have any last-minute interference called. Moraes still swinging into round 4. Setting up round 3, heat number 9, we have the 2012 world champ Joel Parkinson taking on Kanoa Igarashi in his second year on tour. Looking for a big result here at Super Tubos. Kanoa made this round last year. He had to deal with a world champ. That time it was De Souza where he ended up getting knocked out. And we'll see how he handles Joel. Parco got started, Potts, with a 3.17 during the break.
Yeah, nice little wave there to kick things off for Joel. As, you know, you've got to start well here, especially at Super Tubos. There's not a lot of waves on offer here this afternoon, so you can't really squander your opportunities. Beautiful from that angle, but not deep enough, according to the judges. 3.17. You've got to kind of disappear, don't you? Got to get right behind the curtain, try and stay there as long as possible. But Joel, just a nice little settler. These guys have been hanging around for quite some time. I saw Joel earlier and he said, come on, let's get this on. The tide's coming in. I want to get out there before it gets too high, but a 3.17 to kick things off.
He's also saying, Potts, that he's been struggling to find a rhythm with the ocean. He was kind of talking about this special relationship that world champs have, and a lot of the best surfers in the world have, with just kind of being in the right spot at the right time, finding rhythm quickly. Remember the heat he had back in France. He had a great run into the final series. Quarters against Gabriel Medina, had a game plan, saw a wave out the back, and he really didn't give that heat a true shot performance-wise because he kind of had to live and die by his sword. His decision was to wait for a special part of the beach to really open up, and it just never did. He never switched, didn't have a plan B. So he still kind of has that desire from deep inside to really get a good rhythm going in this contest, wave-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Joel surfed incredibly well in France. I thought he surfed really well here in round number 1 too. 8.93 was his high score yesterday in some big, heavy water waves. Joel, probably one of the best tube riders out there. Here he goes.
Parco making a move. Quick bottom turn to pack the first section. Quick little exit once again for Joel Parkinson. He's out of there. So 2 small scores as he's looking to build against Kanoa Igarashi. Parco's been solid out here in Portugal. He's had a few chances to make a final out here. He's been hung up in the semifinals a few times. As we know, Parco started a long time before Kanoa Igarashi was thinking about world titles. Parco got started back in that short season in 2001 when CJ Hobgood won the world title. The next year, with a full year on tour, he ended up finishing runner-up in the world. Had consistency in the top 5 picture. How'd you like this ride for Parco?
Yeah, nice little tuck under the hood right there for Joel. Nothing too special, just a 2.10, but I like the fact that he's staying busy, Joe. Obviously, Kanoa Igarashi now with priority, so he's going to play the patient game. Joel's just going to stay busy. We've seen that happen a lot. It's been 2 different approaches. Obviously, when you've got that priority, you tend to have to sit and wait for those good ones. Without priority, you could have sort of got the freedom to roam around and catch whatever comes through, and I like that.
Potts, we've had a lot of changes in the sport. Well, since you were on tour as a rookie way back in the day, and even what's happened in Parco's generation, he's seen a lot of changes coming into 2017. Anything else you'd want to see switch, or do you think we have a solid system underway?
No, I think it's probably as good as it's ever been. I think the whole QS CT thing, I think if there's anything I would change, I would have 10 fresh faces every year. You know, that I think if you don't make it into the top 22, I know it sounds pretty ruthless, but if you don't make it into the top 22, you got to go back to the QS and then try and requalify. There's a lot of kids out there that maybe miss out by 1 or 2 spots because of the fact that there's guys on the CT surfing in those QS 10,000s. I'd like to see 10 fresh faces every year. I think it'd mix it up and keep the top guys running well and truly on their game.
It's really cool, Potts. And it's really cool that a sport of surfing has conversations like this. Every year, the commissioner's office welcomes the top 34 and top 17 on the women's side to discuss any possibilities of changes, anything to make improvements. And sometimes you come to a brand new year, sometimes there's one rule change. Even this year, we saw a rule come into play halfway through the season about blocking and getting that interference rule underway.
I mean, look at how exciting this year's been. with the new rookie class that we've had. We've got 7 fresh faces, and they've done some damage. I mean, there's been some, Leonardo Fioravanti's played a big part in the world title race, and that's the thing that can happen. You've got these little Cinderella stories that, we might not get. So to get those 10 fresh faces every year, we're going to see the guys really work for the top 22 spots, and we're going to see maybe the sport progress a little bit more because of that.
Well, we've had top 4 waves in the past, top 3, now top 2. Should we stay there? Do you want to go to top 1, Potts?
No, top 2 is good. I think it's pretty fair. You were talking to Seabass before, weren't we? And he said, you know what, I get really nervous when I start off with a really good score, because then I'm in for about 11 or a 12 2-wave total, and that's kind of what happened. We backed that up with only a small score. So I think that top 2 rides, it's pretty fair. Gives you the opportunity to really go for it. I think if it was just that top 1 ride, I think there'd be too much luck involved to just get that 1 good wave. I think two good waves is the way to go.
Having a look now and running through a backhand tube is Kanoa Igarashi, who's been so solid at picking off the gems today. His strike rate in his round 2 clash was incredible, seeing 3 consistent completions to have a decisive win to get this far, and another great start now against Joel Parkinson.
What a way to start. That was a long barrel there from Kanoa Igarashi. Took his time, positioned himself well, pulled in, and look at that position. I mean, just great tube stance, flying through that section, and just made it out in time. So really nailing it. Reading that wave perfectly. Nice long barrel and squeaking out the end of it. That's what you need to do. And we're going to see a good score for Kanoa Igarashi's first wave.
Kanoa Igarashi's round 2 matchup he had earlier this morning against Joan Dura is still the highest combined heat total so far in the event. 15.93 combined total on his top 2 rides. Into his 2nd season on tour. Re-qualified on the QS, so he's free to do some damage here. Not worried about falling off the top 34. With Joel a 3.17, a 2.10. His combined total at the moment, 5.27, and a single scoring start for Kanoa at a 7.67 in the lead.
Yeah, that was well-deserved score there for Kanoa Igarashi. 2 judges went as high as 8. That was a long barrel, perfect positioning. There was no slowing down, was there? It was just a straight shot through and then squeak out the end. A little bit of dramatics, and a good score followed. 7.67, great way to start for Kanoa.
Kanoa Igarashi got so used to winning growing up in Southern California in Huntington Beach, also called Surf City, USA, where he won his US Open title this year. Before that, he was just a little mini-grom, winning everything. He won so much. He got so used to it. He kind of graduated pretty early, got a part of that camp with Stephen Bell and Leo Fioravanti, and we started seeing him at Snapper Rocks when he was still about 12, 13 years of age. We'd see him at Bell's soon after. So he had an early experience surfing world-class venues. He had hot streaks throughout the NSSA. That's the amateur organization that these kids come up from in the USA. There's a winning streak that Timmy Reyes formerly had of winning so many events in a single season. Kanoa carried that title for a while. It's been broken a couple times since, but Igarashi just was one of those profiles that had superstar status next to his name when he was about 10 years of age. Predicting that he'd be on tour someday, already making a Pipe Masters final. As we see a little paddle exchange out the back, Potts.
Yeah, that was interesting. I like that.
In each other's face. Kanoa doesn't have priority here. Crossing paths with Parko. Remember, he's had a couple interference calls go his way where he hasn't had the triangle. A couple against Toledo. One at the US Open, which took Toledo out. He was the favorite to win. One in Brazil. Since then, we've seen that rule change after Tahiti. Right now, Parko's just trying to get some clear water to pose a comeback. Needs a 4.51, still with 15 on the clock.
I'd like to see that again. I mean, that was an interesting little situation there. Joel had priority. You can see him. He's throwing his hands up going, what's going on here? I mean, the kid paddles straight in front of me. If I've got priority, you've got to kind of stay away from the guy that does have that priority. Kanoa getting semi-tangled up with Joel.
Yeah, that was interesting. Try to take another look at that moment there, crossing paths with Parko just a few minutes ago. Let's see what happened here.
You see Parko starting to paddle. Kanoa's right in front of him and then goes across the front of Joel. I mean, that's some nervous moments right there. I think Joel's got a pretty valid case.
So Parko throwing his hands up, now just throwing himself into a closeout. So incomplete there. Could be a little frustrated. There wasn't a call on that last moment in the paddle battle out the back. Meanwhile, Kanoa is still swinging through the inside corner. Igarashi now focused on keeping his lead out front. When you have priority, you have undisputed right-of-wave. There's a little wave there, and Kanoa paddled out in front. And still seeing no decision from the panel at the moment, Potts.
No, I'm not seeing anything either, Joe, but you know, part of the deal is with that priority, it's kind of you have the right of way. You don't want to get tangled up with the person that does have priority. This was down the line a bit. Kanoa Igarashi squeaking into the barrel. I think that was the same wave that Joel was on. That was the wave after maybe, but yeah, Joel Parkinson wiping out on his wave. Kanoa Igarashi capitalizing with another good little score. He's going to back up that 7.67, put some pressure on the world champ.
So you start seeing all these little things that can take you to wins, kind of outside of performing on a wave. Just getting in your competitor's headspace, playing that tactical game, which is a fine line from creating an interference if you get too close, as we've seen that happen in the past. Priority, that rotation, it means like you got that right of way. If the surfer without priority interferes in any way, you see interference fly. That's that reason you want to see the best surfing get into the next heat. You still have the paddle battle to the takeoff zone to try to control the next exchange. That P next to Kanoa at the moment on your score line. 7.67 combined total, trying to get some past Joel Parkinson here. And Parko having another great year on tour, Pots. I think we were wondering for a moment there if Parko is thinking about the next step, thinking about moving on from competing on tour full-time. Kind of went through that relaxed year following his world title in 2012. Sometimes even talking to us, he's questioning his own motivation and fire, but he found a way to light it again. And it was really cool when we started getting all those talks that he had been talking to Mick Fanning, his longtime childhood rival, and saying, hey, let's do this one more time. As we know, Mick took a bit of a break last year, just surfed in 5 events, and he got Mick very motivated to fire at all cylinders here in 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with that relaxed year from Mick Fanning, still managed to win an event. Crazy stuff there from Mick, but yeah, it's good to see these guys still going. Obviously, very important to the sport. You know, the Micks, Joel Kelly, those kind of guys. I mean, they're all world champions. They've all contributed so much to the sport of surfing. Fantastic role models. And yeah, I like the way Joel's done it though, because you know, with all those second places that he got, it's almost that curse of the second place. You know, there's a lot of guys that have gone down in history that have got those seconds and never gone on to win. So Joel kind of flipped the coin on that, and he's made it cool to come second and then go on and win.
Especially when you think about how early he was getting runner-up in the world. He had a second, and then it was really like 2012, 10 years later, where he was able to finish #1 in the world with a big win at the Pipe Masters. He didn't need that win. He was so consistent. He was able to clinch in the semifinals when Josh Kerr played spoiler and knocked out Kelly, and then beat Kersey in that final at the Pipe Masters. Kersey playing spoiler once again in his career, as he just took out Jordy Smith earlier in this round.
Wow. Yeah, that was yeah, very sort of anticlimactic for Jordy Smith. Pretty tough loss there for him.
Now it's 10:30 on the clock. Let's hear from the local hero, Frederico Moraes, who's with Rosie Hodge.
Just waiting for that decision to be made with yourself and Michelle Perez with the priority. You have to make those split-second decisions. What went into that one?
It's a really tough one because you've got priority, but the priority can play against you. So yeah, it was really tough. I was hearing the countdown. And yeah, I wasn't too sure, so I just went. And yeah, we both stood up after the horn, so it's all good.
And you know, that was kind of a funky heat with the restart and you getting away just after that buzzer went and then that kind of decision being made on the sand. Tell me about, you know, the energy that you feel in the heat and how you can turn that around.
Yeah, it was a really hard one. I don't know why, but I feel like every time I pedal out, it gets really slow and there's not many waves. But yeah, we had the restart and I got that one right after they said they were going to restart. When I pedaled back out, I was just like, whoa, a restart, all right. More time to catch another wave. So yeah, it was a fun heat. I didn't have any big scores, but I waited and I built my scores and yeah, got through. Stoked.
I feel like you're saving yourself for something big though.
Yeah, hopefully.
Frederico, thanks for your time. Well done.
Great to hear from Frederico Moraes, leading the Rookie of the Year race, representing Portugal and off and running into round 4. But that was a kind of a scary moment for the local boy. What happened in the last heat was there was a kind of a close decision. Frederico, with priority, was looking to take the last wave. When you hear the horn sound, the heat's over, so your priority's gone. And so we're thinking if Michel got up in time to get that last wave and Frederico got up after the horn, that would have gone against Moraes. We've seen that happen in heat with Michel Perez, Sebastian Seitz, back at Lower Trestles, and Seabass was devastated because he had dominated that matchup and got that win pulled away from him. Learned quickly about that rule, and he hasn't repeated that thing again.
No, stay right away from that for sure, because you don't want to do all the hard work and then have it taken away from you after the fact. So you've got to read the rule book, you've got to understand every single rule that's in there, and make sure you don't break any of those rules, otherwise you can look forward to a loss.
So looking at this heat, Kanoa Igarashi still out front with that big start, 7.67. Locking in now on the backhand. Had a big jump start out of the gates with a lot of speed to get the exit. His start, though, was much better. That 7.67 was a great way to kick it off against a former world champ. We saw him paddling right next to Joel under priority. No call there, so that went free. And the guy with the second year on tour, looking to get into his first round 4 matchup in Portugal, is now watching Joel Parkinson hold back. So still 7:20 left on the clock.
Yeah, it's been a tough heat for Joel, just a 3.17 and 2.10. It's kind of been one good wave, and Kanoa's got it, the 7.67.
Let's now hear from Michel Perez with Rosie Hodge.
Michel Perez, I said it to Frederico Moraes, it was a pretty funky heat from the get-go with the restart and everything, but that scenario towards the end of the heat, you want to just explain to us, you know, what that could have meant for you?
Yeah, because we have that rule in the rule book in the WSL saying, like, if the heat ends, the guy, like, it doesn't matter who has the priority, the guy inside gets the priority, you know, if he stand up before. And that's exactly what happened to me. I kind of stood up and I saw him going too, and I was like, oh, I can't believe he's going, because the heat ended and he could have get interference. So I told myself, okay, just surf and just pretend that nothing happened, just in case. And then I realized, like, oh, that's the only way I can win the heat, you know. That's why I was like, oh, maybe that happened. I was kind of sure that happened, you know, because with the sun, it's pretty far away from the sun to get to my ears. So when I was there, when I stood up, then I heard the song go off, and then I was like, oh, that's it, he got it, you know. So, and I felt bad for him, and I was like, oh, okay, just focus and try to surf, you know. But that's part of the job, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It all comes into play, especially at this stage of the year. You know, thinking about what you have to do to keep your spot on tour. It is at that point in the year where you start, you know, doing anything and winning at all costs, because it is a contest at the end of the day.
It could have been the first comp of the year. It doesn't matter. You know, it's all about competing. We're not here to make our friends make the hits. You know, we're here for us to get through the hits, and that's just it. For like 30 minutes, we're not friends anymore. You know, and then we get to the beach and we hug each other, we cruise with each other, and it's part of the sport, and that's the beauty of our sport. And I seriously respect this guy more than anything. And then I seriously love the crowd when they go off for him, you know, and they kind of boo me and stuff. But I was like, oh, I just want to make my hit. Sorry, guys, you know, but not happened.
Well, you know, you come to mind as one of the warriors throughout this event. Yesterday, today, I mean, it's all just been a jumble of conditions. So, you know, what's the takeaway from this event for you?
A lot of stuff that I have to go through. Like, I tried a board that I never tried before. It was too light for that wind, and I didn't want to go back to the beach and grab my other board. But, you know, that's just the way it is. Competing these days is like, it's super hard because there's so many like options and there's so many good surfers. Like round 2 right now is like a round 5, you know, like the 3-4 years back, you know, and it's okay. You just have to deal with it. Yeah.
Well, Michelle, we look forward to seeing you in Hawaii. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you, Michelle Perez, for the nice chat after a tough loss against Rodrigo Moraes. Michelle Perez has dreams of returning to a top 5 finish, like the season where he won Margaret River, where he won Rio de Janeiro. He was in a world title race for the first time really in his career when he found that winning feeling. He's had injuries since then. This year surfing at 100%. He's had some really good moments to talk about. Quarterfinal, back at that place where he won before in West Oz. Had a semifinal this season, but he's sitting number 17 in the world with another big heat coming up. Miguel Pupo, the goofy foot from Brazil, taking on a world champ, Adriano de Souza. A lot has to go Adriano's way, but there's still a chance for a world title. He'd have to have John lose. Really, in this next round, he'd have to get an equal 9th. De Souza would basically have to have back-to-back wins, Portugal and Pipe, and he's won both of those in his career.
I was about to say that. He's won both of those events, so if there's a shot, there's a shot.
And then also thinking about Julian Wilson, still with a mathematical shot. So a lot of scenarios in the commissioner's office keeping us up to date to get those numbers confirmed, and then they make those announcements. We've had a lot of guys taken out of the title race. We had 8 contenders still with a shot heading into Portugal. Focus still on John, who just joining us. Jordy Smith knocked out of the contest by Josh Kerr, and you know he still has a shot as well. Best thing that could happen for Jordy is John to lose pretty quick, and then it would come down to Pipeline for a showdown.
Well, that would be the perfect case scenario, wouldn't it? But it depends who you are, really. For John, the perfect case scenario would be to clinch here, go to Hawaii and have a bit of fun and try and win that Pipe Masters. But it's still wide open. Obviously, Gabriel Medina's still in the mix. So, yeah, we'll just see how this event unfolds. I mean, it's been one of those crazy years, hasn't it, Joe? I mean, there's no guarantees whatsoever. We've had 8 different winners so far this year. No one's really dominated. So things have kind of been left up in the air. Jordy Smith, obviously, with that result, was not what he was looking for. Kind of looking for something up into that semis. Maybe even a win here would have been amazing, and then it would have gone to Hawaii regardless. If Jordy had made the quarterfinals, it would have gone to Hawaii regardless. So we'll see how it works out.
Still a minute 40 to go in this one. Kanoa's been hanging on to the lead ever since he got the 7.67. Has the highest combined total. He said he loves waves like this. His girlfriend's from Portugal, so he definitely feels like it's his second home here. His girlfriend's family here to support him as well through another big showdown here at Super Tubos and taking on the big names. Just like he's a seasoned vet on tour, doesn't mind a paddle battle, but also has a good strike rate. He reads the ocean really well, especially in tricky lineups. So impressed how he can start off with a keeper score every time he suits up here at Super Tubos. Kanoa now running after this inside barrel. He'll get shut down there. Now down to the final minute for the former world champ to find an 8.5 to turn this heat.
Yeah, well, it's been a below average heat for Joel Parkinson, that's for sure. But even looking at Kanoa's scores, take away that 7.67 and it's everyone's pretty much been struggling. There's been that one good wave that's come through in the last 30 minutes. And that's the X factor that is Super Tubos, Joe. I mean, strange things happen out here. There's no real defined lineup here at the moment. You just got to be on the prowl, kind of hunt up and down. Sometimes you go to the right, the waves will come to the left, and vice versa. So it's a little bit of a lucky dip. but Kanoe Igarashi with the winning wave so far, that 7.67.
Joel Parkinson coming off that quarterfinal in France. Wanted to build himself on that top 10 picture still. World number 9, but we're going to lose a top seed, a former world champ, a guy that's had a lot of consistency in his career here in Portugal. This is matching one of his worst results he's had out here in his career. 3-time semifinals, multiple-time quarterfinalists out here. And Kanoe Igarashi makes round 4 for the first time in his career at Super Tubos, and will be moving on to compete with Josh Kerr and Frederico Moraes as we're setting up the final 12 in round 4. A few big heats to follow, including one with world title implications. De Souza trying to keep the dream alive. He's coming up next against Miguel Pupo. We'll be right back. Love seeing all the action from our DJI Inspire 2 drone flying in the sky above the world's best. I want one so badly. Look at these visions from the sky. You can see how powerful the action is here at Super Tubos. Getting the best barrel of your life, maybe the best wipeout of your life, but all fighting for crucial points on the Jeep leaderboard, because this is the second to last stop on tour. Where does the year go? Flies by. De Souza, former world champ, the headliner in this matchup against Miguel Pupo. Pupo trying to save his spot on tour, building his family, a proud father now, but he knows he has a lot of work to do to join the top 34 next season. Pupo qualifying with maybe the best rookie class of all time, with 2 world titles with John and Gabriel Medina. De Souza, the warrior, the veteran on tour, the working man's hero, going against all odds to become a world champion, coming from humble beginnings. And it all started with a $7 surfboard his older brother bought for him, and De Souza took that opportunity and ran with it, and was able to finish #1 in the world with a Pipe Masters victory in 2015.
I know, man, amazing stuff there, and just a hard worker. You know, I think that's the thing really that you've got to respect from Adriano De Souza. And then to win in Hawaii at Pipeline, I mean, it doesn't get any more difficult than that. So, yeah, credit to Adriano De Souza. I love his work ethic, and, you know, you could just watch him over the years working certain places out. Wherever he struggled, he'd stay there and spend a lot of time and do strike missions back and forth and fine-tune his skills in those kind of ways.
He had this crazy ability to rattle the cage of surfers on tour. Even when he was relatively new to the scene, you'd see surfers that would come in as favorites to win and seeing how frustrated they got in a heat with Adriano. As we always mention, he apologized for that on the podium when he accepted his world title, because his goal is to win at all costs. The thing is, it doesn't always come down to tactics. You do have to perform. So he'd spend a long time learning the ropes, studying his heroes. We talked about his highlight reel of favorite surfers that he always watches to be inspired for competition. And during the break pots, things got started.
Yeah, Miguel Pupo got started. Coming off a quarterfinal result over there in France, the Quicksilver Pro. Beautiful positioning right there. Look at this perfect little wave. And he comes flying out the end. So 6.67 for Miguel Pupo. That's what you have to do up against the champs. You've got to knock them out. And we saw what Kanoa Igarashi did. Came out the blocks firing with a 7.67, and well, Miguel Pupo 6.67. So not a bad start there for Miguel.
Miguel Pupo was able to get a big win early pots. Remember that Lower Trestles win? It was a qualifying series 10,000 rated event. Beat Tanner Gudauskas in a very close decision. And that was kind of his coming of age party. Just as came on the scene, everyone knew his name, qualified quickly after that. And the last couple of years, it's been a bit tough for Pupo. Last year, it was very scary for him after Pipe to see if he'd be back on tour just within the cut. And this year, he didn't make it easy for himself. The cool part is to see him inspired coming into the European leg, getting into the quarterfinal. It's been a long time since he's gotten that far. It was last year in Portugal when he made a quarterfinal. So he loves this European leg of the tour. He feels right at home here in Portugal. Obviously from Brazil, speaking Portuguese, so he's comfortable with his road to try to re-qualify and kick off well with the 6.67.
Yeah, you know, I think he can do it too. I mean, he's an amazing talent. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. It looks like to me he's in a good place mentally, physically. He's got his beautiful little family with him, so things are looking good for Miguel Pupo, but he needs a good result. He needs at least another quarterfinal here. Some big sets coming through. De Souza looking interested, Joe. Here he goes.
Having a look at a fun left. De Souza grabs around the takeoff. Now going to turns. Throws it up vertically. One big blast into the corner. Jams it shut. So De Souza wanted to get barreled on the takeoff and adjusting to maneuvers down the line. Looking for a 3.48 to take the lead off Pupo. 23 in the clock. A former event champ, maybe winning in the most ideal conditions. Sun was out, pumping every day. First day of the waiting period, called that thing on. That was back in 2011. All of a sudden, the next day, we're like, okay, it's going to be another big day of action. And then the third day was the final day. Kind of like in Tahiti this year, when we had 3 straight days to finish. It doesn't happen very often, but the conditions were perfect. How'd you like the maneuvers here?
Yeah, well, you know, we haven't seen big scores for turns, have we? We haven't seen too many aerials either, so kind of interesting where, you know, when will the surfers really adapt to that? I mean, there's not a lot of tubes on offer. The ones that are coming through are still pretty clean, really nice, but, you know, obviously that's what the judges are looking for. We saw Jordy Smith come short with a couple of big backside hooks, and Adrian De Souza needing a 3.48. I think it's going to be right around there. But the judges are still looking for those barrels, Joe.
22 minutes on the clock here. Scores coming through for De Souza. A little wave on the way. Pupo with priorities. He's going to hold his position out the back. Nice looking conditions. Pupo knows the kind of wave he's looking for. De Souza will get the lead change with a 3.67. Now let's hear from Kanoa Igarashi with Rosie Hodge.
Kanoa, with your second heat win of the day, coming up against someone like Joel Parkinson, he's definitely got an aura about him. He's a former world champ. How tough are those matchups?
Yeah, honestly, he's my hero, and I've looked up to him my whole life, and I love his surfing. He's one of my favorite surfers, and yeah, I just put my head down, and I really wanted to win that heat. It was a really important heat for me, and yeah, it's important, but at the same time, I'm trying to have as much fun as I can. And yeah, you know, it was a good day today. We got some good barrels and waves are pumping, so couldn't ask for much more.
And second year on tour, but already matured so much in your surfing. We think about last year and the role that you played just to re-qualify. This year looking so strong, you've got to be confident going into the last 2 events of the year.
Yeah, of course. You know, like I said, this was the back end of the year is my favorite part of the year. obviously the beginning half of the year didn't go as well as I wanted to. And then starting at Trussell is where I got my role, and I felt like I started getting my results. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here, happy to be in Europe, and have a spot next year on the tour next year. So I'm just trying to build some points and yeah, trying to get more experience and get more heats and good waves.
Can I rest up and we'll see you back here when the contest resumes?
Can I say something in Japanese, please? 今日のまたヒートラウンド3残ったので、明日か明後日もうラウンド4が続くので、みんなメッセージとか応援みんなありがとうございます。また次の頑張ります。
Great to hear from Kanoa Igarashi in English and in Japanese. I'm alongside Potts, who's big in Japan as well. He used to love stopping there on tour. There's a lot of great memories when the tour used to make a stop there. As we'll get caught up with Pupo real quick here.
Yeah, Miguel just trying to capitalize on that good start. 6.67, and then on that occasion the wave not really cooperating, so a 1.77 was enough to get him back into the lead. De Souza now needs a 4.62. Bit of a seesaw battle here, and an important, you heard Kanoa talk about how that was an important heat for him. I mean, this heat is super important for Miguel. I mean, he's really needs a good result. He's trying to look to re-qualify, currently number 27 in the world, so he needs quarterfinals or better, Joe.
Now with 19 minutes on the clock, Pupo just out front of De Souza. Remember, Miguel got past Adriano De Souza at the last stop up at the Quicksilver Pro France on road to that quarterfinal finish. So found success off a former world champ. That was a big role for him to get through. That heat a long time ago in 2013 that Adriano won, but these two just haven't had that many matchups in their history. All fighting for a spot in round 4. When you get to round 4, you already have the final 12. You start off championship tour heats in round 1 with 36 surfers. You got the top 34 in the world that are competing full-time in the title race, joined by 2 wild cards. This time, Vasco Ribeiro, Mason Ho taking those wild card opportunities. Vasco, always exciting, making another big impact on the title race. And now setting up a final 12 series with guys like Pupo trying to requalify, and then the world title story led by John Florence.
Yeah, what a story too. I mean, what a time to get the yellow jersey back as well. That Jeep Leaders jersey was Geordie's up until the last event. I mean, it's been a seesaw battle. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys trading hands with that jersey so far this year. I think Owen Wright's had it, Matty Wilco's had it, Geordie's had it, John's had it. It's been like a hot potato, Joe.
It's pretty cool to see. So many different winners. Toledo, a multiple winner this year, Lowers and J-Bay, but he got knocked out, so he's out of contention. And John with so much consistency, especially at the start of the year. 2 13ths and then back to finals or better. Quarters are better, I should say, as we see a nice, fun-looking left-hand tube for Pupo. Barrel, but loses the turn. Trying to get rid of that 177 with 17 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, he's got to get that 177 out of his scoreline. Why? Because he's got Adriano De Souza, a world champion, nicely just slotted into that barrel there. Beautiful vision from Miguel, and then just flopped off the side of the rail. It is late in the day. These guys have been around all day. In here, arriving here in dark, and we'll probably leave here when it's dark too, Joe. But just falling off that one. But all the damage done really. He's going to better his 1.77, increase his lead over Adriano De Souza, who currently is looking for a 4.62. That is going to be a little bit more after that exchange.
So round 4, heat 1, Potts Leo Fioravante takes on Sebastian Zietz, Julian Wilson. Julian still a world title contender. The second heat, Chloe Andino has been on fire into the 9s this morning. A comeback wave against Italo Ferreira. He has Connor O'Leary to deal with, and the world champ, John Florence. Josh Kerr took out Jordy. He'll take on Federico Moraes and Kanoa Igarashi. As the heats continue, we'll take the winner of this heat and the winner of the next 2 heats to fill in the spots in round 4, heat 4, with a 2-time champ in Portugal, a 3-time world champ, Mick Fanning, coming up next against Kyle Belli. We'll be right back.
Miguel, você está segundo, com segunda prioridade. Você está primeiro, com segunda prioridade. tem o 667. Última onda de azul, 5 pontos. Last of blue, 5 points. Now, situation, it's still blue in the lead, priority with red, but red now needs a 7-8-4. É isso, Adriano, entrou a última do Miguel. E você precisa agora, Adriano, um 7-8-4. Trinidade vermelha.
Take a moment to flash back to maybe the best year condition-wise. Adriano de Souza showed up on opening day and actually didn't have the best round one performance. Wilco ended up winning that heat way back when. John Florence was a new name on the block. He was a part of that heat as well. But then Adriano found the motivation to go all the way from round 2 and picked up the pace. Got past Michel Perez in the quarters. Moved on to a semifinal clash with beat Durbridge. And then a matchup with the greatest of all time, Kelly Slater, who was on a heater. As we know, 2011 was a world title year for Kelly. And De Souza found the magic on that finals day to take the big win with a 15.67 total, with a big perfect 10 along the way. As we look back in history of this event, Rip Curl always has the dream of going on the search. We're all guessing where this place was back in 09. And then with Portugal backing this event, having a great relationship with the World Surf League, said let's make this a consistent stop on tour. And we've been here ever since. And it's always affected the world title showdown.
Yeah, I love it. I love coming to Portugal. The people, the place, the food, the waves. I mean, it's just definitely a worthy spot on tour. It's got some unbelievable backup spots if Super Tubos isn't firing. Yeah, I love coming to Portugal.
It's a great place to be. Good waves at Tasca de Joel, your favorite restaurant, not just in Portugal, but the whole world happens to be here.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I've eaten in some pretty nice restaurants around the world, and I think Tasca de Joel is top of the list for me.
Not bad. And that's a pretty tough leaderboard to be a part of. Pot's favorite restaurants around the world.
Absolutely. I've got to take you to a couple, mate. There's one at home that's not too bad.
I'm always excited. That's the kind of goes with surfing. Surf all day, you're starving. I know you miss lunch sometimes when the waves are good.
Yep, I just eat waves for lunch.
That famous line you told me once, I'm just going to eat waves for lunch, get super hungry, and then go up the road to a place like Tasca de Joel. There's Sardinia. That's always a great pick as well. Pupo loves that local Brazilian barbecue spot, along with De Souza. So a lot of great choices here in Peniche. You meet a lot of different people from around the world doing the surf school, then watching the world's best here at Super Tubos. Drawn out takeoff and running for the exit is De Souza. Always passionate, always ready to look up to the sky to find that spiritual connection with the waves. He's had a couple of threes before, so it had to feel amazing to get barreled against Pupo.
Yeah, I mean, there's that X factor that we're talking about. That is Super Tubos. I mean, it's all about Miguel Pupo. 6.67, 5.0, looking so much in command, looking comfortable, looking strong, and then all of a sudden, this thing comes out of nowhere. This has been the biggest wave we've seen in quite some time. And De Souza drives through that section and comes flying out the end, and there's that passion that we love from Adriano de Souza. Driving off that rail there, pulling in. Wasn't a clean exit, but it's going to be a big score, Joe. He's going to definitely get himself back into the lead. Wow, have a look at that. That is just insane right there. Big, solid wave. Gets spat out the end of it. And he looks up to the skies and says, thank you very much, because I've just put myself into the lead, Joe.
9.27. For the man they call Mineirinho back home in Guarujá, Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's just taken the lead off Pupo, and now Miguel needs a 6.44 to keep the dream alive to re-qualify for the top 34. What a turning point. Brilliant positioning, knifed it perfectly, made it look easy, and a big celebration. And when De Souza gets fired up, you can see him really active, putting his hands to the sky. Remember in his early part of his career, people were often ready to critique how often that he was claiming waves. And he never was fazed by it. He was like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to let you know how I feel. He never stopped doing it. He thrives off that energy. He digs deep. And you've seen him in his history really taking pride in special venues on tour that have helped his cause along the way, like Bell's Beach when he won there. Remember, Potts, the following year, he jumped in the ocean with his clothes on because he was just so excited to be back, and that's why he's one of our favorites to watch in competition.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, Joe? If people critiqued him about that claim, everyone claims now. Here he goes again.
Driving through a little hot pocket there. Not too much of a barrel, but he'll just wrap away. He's just feeling it now. Looking to better a 3.83. This is a dangerous sign for Pupo when De Souza starts running free. Picked up a big win at Saquarema this year. He was adding to the cool story of so many different winners in 2017.
Yeah, exactly right. And 8 winners so far out of all the events we've had on tour. De Souza, this is he's trying to better a 3.83. Slides in, a little bit of a cover up right there, a little shampoo, and then goes to town on the rail. A couple of nice little maneuvers, finishing with a bit of a float there. So is that going to better his 3.83 at the moment? Miguel Pupo needing a 6.44. Beautiful vision there as De Souza finishing off his wave. You can tell there's a lot more pep in the step right now. Things weren't going his way. Like you said, Joe, a couple of threes in his scoreline, and then all of a sudden a 9.27 gets dropped. Miguel Pupo out the back. Can he answer back? Can he regain the lead? Here he goes.
Taking off late, right into the barrel as Miguel Pupo gets the exit. Needs something big to finish. There's that grab rail wrap on the open face. Hanging in there for the inside corner. Looking to ramp up. Maybe just a jam to finish. Pupo's fired up on the answer. Still waiting on scores from De Souza's last. It's in a similar conversation of his start at the 3.83. So Pupo took off chasing a 6.58 to take the lead off De Souza.
Well, Miguel needing a score. Late drop straight into the barrel. Beautiful positioning from Miguel. Big slashing turn, and then brings this one all the way through the inside. He's not going to quit on it. Trying to maximize the scoring potential all the way through to the inside. Adriano De Souza, 3.97, so he betters his situation only just. Look at this drop here, Joe. Straight into the barrel, literally halfway down the face of the wave. Pulls up nice and tight. Great positioning there from Miguel Pupo. 6.58. Is that going to be enough to get a lead change? Is it going to be enough to put the shoe on the other foot, so to speak, and have Adriano De Souza chasing a score? 7 minutes and 50 remaining. And there's the passion that these Brazilian surfers bring to the World Tour. Hard to beat that.
Incredible performance from both these athletes, just fighting for the lead. Pupo starting early with his 6.67. His low score came in at a 5.0, and now waiting for one more decision to see if he'll come close to the 6.58 to take the lead off De Souza. Adriano holding down priority. The year he won this event, he had 2 event wins, so he was already thinking about the world title race. One here in Portugal, also one in Brazil, and a crazy final over Taj Burl. It was an emotional win for De Souza. He had a lot of tears shed on the podium, thanked all the people that believed in him. He was starting to realize that he was a true world title threat. And now down to 6.55 scores for Pupo, 6.0, not enough for the change pots. And still needing a 6.58 now without priority.
6 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, Joe, so plenty of time. You can see Adriano De Souza is going to start playing that defensive role. He's got the priority, he's got the heat lead, and this is what he does. Tactics will come into play. You can see that he's got a little bit of a pep in his step to get there as quick as humanly possible. He doesn't want Miguel to get another opportunity. He's quite within his right to do that. Get the priority, go and sit next to Miguel and try and eliminate any kind of opportunity going his way.
So a classic little all-Brazilian matchup. A world champ seed with De Souza still in contention. We have one more Brazilian as a contender as well, Gabriel Medina. Strider, have you seen Medina lately?
These waves, he's been intent on watching these waves.
Catch up with Strider in just a moment. He's behind the scenes, checking out all the action. As we watch this now, little drive into the barrel in the first section for Miguel Pupo. Looking for something solid on the inside, clear for takeoff. Lofts the air reverse. Showing a lot of fire. It's pretty rare to see Pupo show that much flair, that many claims to the sky. It shows how much this heat means to Pupo in his career. To stay within the cut in the top 22. Now needing a 6.58. Was that air big enough? Did he get locked into the barrel longer than his last wave at a 6.0 pots?
We haven't seen a lot of that, have we, Joe? Let's have a look at the tube first of all. It's a tight little barrel, but it's a barrel nonetheless. And then he just sets it up. You could tell he was going to the air. Lands cleanly, brings it around. That's that barrel to air combo that we haven't seen a lot of in this event. When we have, though, there's been some pretty chunky scores being thrown at it. Beautiful height there from Miguel. Perfect rotation. Clean exit from the maneuver. So he's ticked all the boxes in that respect. But was the barrel deep enough? Was it long enough? Was the wave big enough? There's a lot of question marks right there. 6.58 that is required.
So judges thinking about that. Pupo's had a few attempts at trying to get the lead off de Souza. Remember, Adriano opened things up with that 9.27 to finally get the lead. He had a couple threes before, but really took over a lot of that momentum with one of the best numbers of the contest. We've had a few nines in this event. Just to get one has been pretty hard to come by, especially in the conditions that change rapidly here at Super Tubos. Adriano's always one of those fighters, so if you just tell him he has a shot at the title race, he'll try to run with it. He needs a couple of big wins to finish off the year if he still wants to be a contender. And the judge is about to make a decision here. Pupo can't wait. He's going to take another look here. A lot of drive down the line for Miguel. Starts with a big, lofty frontside punt. A tough landing as he goes straight down.
Hey, don't go and hurt yourself, Miguel.
As we see the number finally lock in, a 6.87. Pupo does get the lead. De Souza's just getting the message now that he needs more. Still just a 4.27 to get the lead back to move on to round 4.
Yeah, but a 4.27 to 4.27, that's that pressure that we talk about. You've got to keep putting it on your opponent to have to answer back. Let's have a look. This wave here from Miguel, an ugly landing. Bang! Oh, it's just that front foot slipped off, the back foot stayed on. Kind of did that splits almost, and the board came in contact with the body. Ouch.
I've been enjoying Pupo's air game lately. It kind of felt like we had a return of the airs at France. Even single maneuver opportunities were getting well rewarded. And you're just reminded how talented guys like Pupo are, especially on his forehand. He's got a great backhand reverse. Just took the lead there, 2:20 to go. We're catching up with Strider earlier, thinking about the title race. Medina in third place. Waz, how's he feeling right now?
Well, he's looking pretty focused. He's been sitting over there with stepdad Charlie, checking the surf, watching these heats go down, seeing where the waves are coming in, trying to pace himself through it. It's not an easy lineup right now. The waves come in all over the place out there. As the tide changes, so does the peak. So it's really hard to figure out where to be. And now that Adriano's actually fallen back into second place in this heat, he'd be the last Brazilian standing if Adriano loses this heat in title contention. So it'll be fun to watch this thing play out. We'll see if Adriano can battle back here in the dying minutes. But it's pretty fun to watch Gabriel Medina get ready for his challenge, as he's got to make it all the way through to the finals.
Thank you, Waz. Back to action. De Souza packing the pit. That one's going to shut down. And if you just heard Strider, De Souza, if he gets knocked out of this heat, he's out of the world title race. So the contenders are falling. De Souza trying to pack the pit to get the score, and he's down. So now he's going to try to turn it without priority, as Pupo is trying to save his spot on tour. Down to 1:10 on the clock. The former event champ, former world champ, trying to save his world title hopes on this wave. Going for the grab rail rotation out the back, and De Souza can't hang on. 55 seconds to go.
Wow. I mean, could this day get any more exciting? Could there be any more drama? I mean, this is just crazy stuff right now. De Souza's world title chances are fading real quick. 40 seconds remaining, and it kind of looks like he's given up on it. Miguel Pupo fighting for his life on tour. Two completely different stories. The agony and the ecstasy of what is professional surfing. These guys live and die by it. Still good friends. Super passionate though. You can tell Miguel really wanted that win.
15 seconds to Souza, just trying to hide underneath Pupo's priority. Left chasing a 4.27, had a 9.27 to his name as we're into the countdown. Miguel Pupo with back-to-back wins over to Souza, and Adriano is out of the world title race with Pupo moving on into round 4. The 13.54 total, had to fight for that win. Had a few sixes in this seed pots. A 6.87 at the end is the difference in the world for Pupo, fighting for his spot on tour as the MEO Rip Curl Pro Portugal continues to add drama. Coming up next, Mick Fanning takes on Caio Ibelli. We're bringing Ronnie Blake in, Strider Wasilewski for the call.
Miguel Pupo is through to the 4th round on a quest to re-qualify for the championship tour. And that is a massive victory for Miguel. Unfortunately, it spells the end for Adriano de Souza's world title hopes. We've been crossing them off as we've moved through the rounds today. Adriano putting up a big fight, getting heavily focused halfway through the season to keep his campaign on track. But there was no stopping Miguel, super hungry for a big result. Ronnie Blakey here with Strider Wasilewski to wrap up the 3rd round today and find our last competitors in round 4. Mick Fanning will be taking on Caio Ibelli. Strider, this one's going to be a good fight because Caio, he's got some chops when it comes to taking on these big names.
And we've seen some great waves out there. I mean, just this afternoon, we've seen in that last heat a 9-point ride from Adriano de Souza. Are you kidding me? One of the highest scores of the event. So definitely still beautiful waves on offer. Tide's still, you know, basically filling in out there. There's a lot of water on those sandbars, but they've just moved down the beach a bit and they found themselves some great property to hang out on down there, and I love it. Look at these sets coming in out the back, Ron. Looks like Mick's down there. He's like psyching up. Looks like a left-hander coming right to him.
Mick Fanning's been eyeing off these lefts for some time, and now he looks like he's on a mission to get himself positioned nice and deep for this first wave. And he's committed, having a good look at this one. Scratching into it. Let's see how he goes. Sets his line. Drags that body on the wall of the wave, and he'll punch through the curtain. Just a quick one, though. 26.5 minutes to go. Only one previous head-to-head matchup between these competitors. Mick getting the jump on Kaio in the third round at Jeffreys Bay earlier this season. But the 36-year-old veteran, maybe on his last lap on the championship tour. No official announcement just yet, but you know, the reason to take some time off was to get a break after a pretty strenuous 2015 for Mick Fanning. And I think he really enjoyed his time away from the tour. Did a lot of travel. Obviously pulled the jersey on a couple of times. And did really well getting a victory at Jeffreys Bay, earning a place in the top 22 to requalify for this season. But he kept saying he didn't want to finish up asking questions of himself. But sitting outside the top 10 coming into this event, I'm sure he's been asking those questions as he looks to get a second score on the board here. Just a 2.67 for the first ride.
Yeah, not a lot in it, but you know what got the motor started? He's basically getting into a flow, just got himself another nice little right-hander where he's getting a little tube into a cutback. Precision on that form though, huh? Just no matter what, it just looks so good. Here we go, glides in under the hood, a little pump to get him going, comes out, watch his cutback, bang, just perfect. I love it. I could watch Mick all day long, and on the backhand, his first wave, he got covered up, he was deep, got himself a little shack dome. A lot of water on the sandbars there. They're not really throating barrels and a smaller wave, so they're not gonna go huge on the scores, but it's got to feel good, you know, to get things rolling, get, you know, the body moving, get your heat rolling along, and, well, who knows, maybe one of those scores ends up on the scoreline.
A 3.37 on the second ride. Kaio Belli waiting for his shot at it. Sitting in 19th position on the ratings coming into this contest, so Kaio with a huge opportunity to make a jump up the leaderboard here. The 24-year-old. Who cracked his first final early on in the season down at Bells Beach, losing out to Geordie Smith. But you look at the list of names that he overcame to make that last heat down there at Bells, and it's super impressive. Stepping up, and he's been the ultimate nemesis for John Florence in years gone by as well. So he's really proven himself at some difficult locations. Yeah,
you don't want to give anybody any space on this tour, and I think that everybody learned something from those heats, right? Gave Kaio a little room to move, and bang, he's doing airs and getting scores. There's at this level now, the tight tour and how good everybody is surfing and how technical they can get and taking a subpar wave and making a score out of it, you really can't give anybody any room, and any little mistake these days, you're going to pay.
23.5 minutes to go. Kaio Belli, you look at him on the leaderboard in 19th position. Above him and out of the mix already, Jeremy Flores, Michel Perez, Juan Daru. And they weren't too far ahead of him on points, so if he can make that jump into the fourth round, it'll help him well and really relieve the pressure going into the final event, that pipeline.
I feel like the biggest heat's coming up here at the end of this round with Gabriel Medina and Ethan Ewing.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. Medina obviously in third position coming into this contest and still within reach of John Florence. And a shot at a world title. A couple of lumps coming our way at the moment. Still no way for Kaio Belli, who's got priority, something standing up on the outside. It feels like the ocean's just cleaning itself up this afternoon as Fanning has a look on the end of this one. He's going to head left. Quick look at it and see that the wave's going to shut down, so he pulls through the back. Just outside, Kaio's still waiting for an opportunity at his first score. He's going to take this one, loading up. Not going to get covered, so he tries to go to the air. His board almost just slingshotting back at him. The leg rope extended. So no number for Kaio there, but let's have a look on the replay. His board came pretty close to him.
Yeah, well, you could see him kind of getting ready. You know, he's eyeing up way down the line there, so you know he's going to try and take to the air. He's going to try and use the wind to stick the board to his feet, but he doesn't get the tail out towards the beach. So right there, the wind grabbing him, coming down right next to him, even on the way up, it almost hit him. So the wind right now pretty straightened out, coming up the face. There's a little bit of north in it, which is solid for the air wind, but you really have to throw that tail towards the beach and keep that thing stuck to your feet.
Just on 21.5 minutes to go, Miguel Pupo on a mission and doing very well at the moment, overcoming some of the top seeds in this contest. Miguel is with Rosie.
Miguel Pupo, I'm proud of you. Your daughter must be extremely proud of you. But the determination, Adriano de Souza locked in that 9 pretty early on in the heat. Tell us what it took to just keep your mind set on making it through that one.
When you surf against Adriano, I just think about one thing. It's just like no hesitation. You know, you gotta take every wave and make it count. And I tried the wave before. I could have been probably more deeper on the wave, and I kind of got in a 6.5, and at the end I knew I had to go to the air, and I did, and luckily I got the score. Yeah.
And thinking about performing that under pressure, that's the part that really is astounding to me. The whole year you've really had just so many moments where it hasn't gone your way, so being able to pull it out when you really needed it, that's important.
Definitely, you know, I worked so hard all year to get to this point in a good position, but at least I made a few hits in this Europe leg, and I'm still going, so let's do it.
And have you figured out what you need to do to requalify in these last 2 events?
I guess just surf well. You know, I'm not really counting points or anything, so I'm just trying to make my heats and show everyone that I still can surf, and that I want to keep my spot for next year for sure.
Thanks for keeping us on our toes and excited. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rosie. Miguel Pupo, he's into the 4th round. We're going to find out who he's going to come up against when we complete these last 2 heats. But it's going to be a tough draw. 4th round taking shape quite nicely. Just under 20 minutes to go here. Kyle Belly, he's a little behind Mick Fanning at this stage of the game, but still no big numbers drop for these competitors. You think about Mick Strider and the fact that he is so accomplished. 35 finals he surfed in for 22 victories, and 2 of them coming here in Portugal. The only surfer to claim 2 wins here at this venue.
Wow. What do you just bring to the table against him to try and take him down? It's so, going into a heat, I guess you'd try and keep your mind off of what he's doing and just try to wow the crowd. I think that's what Kaio is after here, trying to get above the lip. But look at Mick, round 1. This was the wave he compared to off the wall. I mean, it was just such a beautiful ride under the hook when he dropped into that wave, and having to position yourself right underneath it is no easy task. So beautiful surfing by Mick Fanning in round 1.
Got that backup number and made sure of that victory. Beautiful slice out on the open face. Like all the veterans, once you get those bigger conditions, they really start to look very comfortable. Fanning up now. This is his 4th ride. Just working this one over right through to the inside. Looking for a finish here. Drives up into the section, and he'll plant that floating re-entry. Looking forward to seeing the start of that ride. Mick getting some cover, getting busy on the turn, so bit of a change up in the strategy. You know, there's been some brilliant waves rolling throughout the event so far, but I think with the conditions dropping and you know, no guarantee of those bigger set waves coming on this diminishing swell, it's not a bad tactic to get a couple of scores on the board early.
Yeah, I like it. Keep moving, and not a bad wave. I like the finish move. Nice tube ride to start. Comes out of it, throws it up. This one's a little slow in between. Just set up there, but this last turn, he's got some speed line float, finishes off. Looking good doing it. Paddles in just behind it. So really nice down the line speed. Mick Fanning just making it look really good, as he always does. It's hard to even throw anything at him trying to find flaws, because he's just, the form is just a crazy. You watch a lot of surfers and arm placements, you know, legs, the torque, the way he goes into waves, the way he finishes waves. There's a reason why he's got 22 wins and 35 finals.
He's had a number of quarterfinals this season, but hasn't broken into the semis. For me, some of his best surfing came in those first couple of events. Bells Beach, he looked really strong. I thought on the Gold Coast, even though he bowed out in the 3rd round, he was one of the better looking surfers in the mix.
I was loving it. I thought, uh-oh, here comes Mick back for another title.
But that 13th on the Gold Coast hurt him, but the heavy result in the early stages was the 25th over at Margaret River. And that kind of really held him back. He's had some moments throughout the season.
He's been pretty vocal about that event, and, you know, there's a lot of opportunity there with the box and with, you know, going mobile over to North Point and the backup wave, so to speak. Margaret River has always got waves, but it is kind of a mushy wave. But if you get the right ones, you can turn them into some brilliant surfing like John did. So I think John might have maybe reinvigorated some people and their interest in that wave and how to approach it.
Well, the funny thing is that Mick has won at every event on the schedule bar 3, the Pine Masters, Fiji and Margaret River, but he has won Margaret's as a QS event. That was one of the events that he claimed in his quest to qualify back in 2001. So he's had success there as well. But you know, he's going to get a shot at the Pipe Masters in a moment. He's semi-finaled there before. We'll see how he fares. He's actually cracked the final there. It was a four-man final early on in his career. At the moment, we're seeing Medina warm up. This is a big heat for him. He's up against Ethan Ewing. Ethan has reached that point in the season, Strider, where it's felt like he's let go a little bit. Let go of the pressure and the tension that's come with that run of poor results.
And there's a reason he's in this round 3 heat after winning his first round, looking really lively and having fun out there. And I love the setup they just showed us there in the locker room with the athletes. You know, before a couple of guys go box into a ring, they're not hanging out in the same locker room. And these guys basically shoulder to shoulder getting ready for their bout.
Well, out there at the moment using priority is Kai O'Bell. He's going to draw off the bottom and chuck that board straight up into the lip. Nice and vertical. 3 turns, getting the fins above that last section. So 3 solid turns on a pretty decent set. We'll see how the numbers fall.
That was pretty vertical surfing right there. I love the way he attacked that first section. A little off kilter on the way down, but putting no caution in it. That's the kind of commitment that the judges like. As he came off the bottom there, he really squared up. But he looked a little off on the re-entry back in. Here we go. He drops in, realizing it's not a good barrel wave, so he goes straight up, bang, whips him back down, throws it straight into the corner again for another turn, and then finishes with a little fins free. See a little slow-mo here off the bottom, off the top. Went almost past vertical with that slam right there, inverted. So great surfing right there from Kai O'Bell, and a great finish. As if you were out the back looking in, you would have saw all 3 fins and the tail of the board flying above.
Waiting on the numbers to come through for Kyo now. It looks like it's going to be the best ride of this heat so far. You get yourself a set wave like that and really dig in on that first turn, you're probably going to be on your way to a good number, but I think the finish really helped him too.
Yeah, 2 really solid maneuvers. The second one just kind of a maintenance turn. But the first and the third pushing, going straight to maneuvers and no tunnel time. Scores will drop in. We'll have to see what the judges think of just pure maneuvers.
I think they're going to like it. Fanning was counting on a 5.83 for a smooth barrel and then a couple of nice little turns out on the open face. But Kyo, with 3 big turns on a solid set, has dropped to 7th. He's still in second place, but only needs a 2.2 now to jump up into the lead.
So waiting for that bigger wave, that set wave, kind of a little bit more substance, seems to have paid off. Yeah, he had to perform on it. He had to really take it to it, actually, because the tube wasn't really there. But, you know, waiting for that right wave, the bigger wave, and then coming off the bottom, just squared into that lip, I think it paying off. Whereas Mick's just been kind of getting his movement happening and finding waves.
Well, just over 12 minutes to go, and the Brazilian only needing a 2.2 to get out in front. Mick Fanning holding on to the lead, but only by a slim margin here in heat 11 of round 3 at the MEO Rip Curl Pro Portugal.
Atenção do Caio Miguel.
We've had some amazing moments here at the MEO Rip Curl Pro Portugal, and we're only just finishing up the third round, so there's plenty more to come. Of course, Mick Fanning out there at the moment leading Caio Abelli. Caio chasing just 2.2 though to get out in front. The crowd still hanging in here for these last couple of heats of the day. We know the next one's got some big implications when you start thinking about the world title. 10 minutes to go, and Fanning just trying to get a really solid score on the board at this stage. He started off busy in this heat, Strider, but now I think he's turning his attention towards some sets.
Well, it looks like we got a couple of them on the way. Look at those lines coming throughout the back. Water Patrol, long day for those guys. Thanks, boys, for keeping it clear. And down the beach, look at that wedge coming. Looks like the beginning of this heat where we saw Mick down there. Now we see Caio down there trying to find something.
Swapping rolls, aren't they? Yeah, Mick really picking off the southern end of the bank as the best opportunity to get some scores. He chipped away at a couple, didn't really post any huge numbers. Meanwhile, Caio sat up on the northern side of the bank, picked off a nice one, got himself that 7.
He waited a long time for that wave, though.
Yeah, obviously patience was his game plan. It might pay off for him too. Doesn't need much to get in front here.
Without priority, taking a look.
Scratching into this one. Let's see how he goes. Currently in 19th position, Caio Abelli. He's going to find the exit. And he squeaks through just to reappear, show the judges that he's clear and in control. The 24-year-old looking good for the lead, but Fanning's up too. Nice little top turn there as he drives off the bottom into the lip again. So the nice combination there from Mick. I think he's inspired to do well in these last couple of events and get himself back into the top 10. It's rare to see him finish outside.
We're going to see some scores come in here. I think Caio's barrel was pretty solid. Good little deep tube ride. Mix wave off the bottom, slams it up, throws a little tail. Nothing really dramatic there. Another pretty vertical turn and kind of a lip line float. He liked it. I think it was more of a sell though.
Well, it's going to be better than his 3.37.
Definitely, yeah.
That might be all he's thinking with this ride. It's definitely not going to match Caio's 7-point ride.
And then Caio, with this wave, is definitely going to get the score he needed to take the lead. I mean, he was pretty deep there for a second. Nice little throaty barrel. We'll see what happens here as the scores drop in.
A beautiful afternoon, and the crowd's been super vocal throughout the day. Some tense moments there for them when Frederico Moraes had that very close call for a possible interference with Michel Perez at the end of their heat. But he's hanging in there and already through to the 4th round. Gabriel Medina, we're going to be watching this next heat very closely because only 4 surfers remain in contention for the world title in 2017. Gabriel Medina is one of them.
Yes, he is, and he's doing his ritual as he does before his heats. Saying a few words and getting ready.
Looking pretty psyched, isn't he? Taking on Ethan Ewing. That's coming up next. Ethan, the youngest surfer on the championship tour this season, has his work cut out. Gabriel Medina is going to be a handful.
Look like the judges aren't too psyched on Caio's barrel. Give him a 3.40, so not a huge score there. Waiting for Mick's score to drop. He's going to have work to do because Mick's definitely going to better his 3.37. I think he's going to put Caio back out of the lead here.
So just over 6 minutes to go. You can see that these two guys are at the moment pretty evenly matched. Not much separating them on the point scores. No massive scores dropped. So we're just hanging to see what Fanning drops here. Will he better that 3.37? He only needs a 4.58 to turn it. It's probably a question mark on that.
It wasn't very committed surfing. Didn't look like he really threw much at it.
I thought the surfing was okay, just the wave was small. And there'll be some comparisons made, I'm sure, to Caio's ride. So the numbers starting to come through. It should be enough to see Fanning into the lead by the looks of things. And there it is, a 5.57. So a pretty similar number to his last. And Fanning's back out in front, but Kaio very dangerous in this one, only looking for a 4.4.
With priority as well, so it's going to be fun to watch the clock tick down on this thing and see how Kaio comes into this and see if he can perform under pressure to find that score.
Well, let's dive into the recap here. Fanning getting started early, getting busy. Strider getting a couple of scores up.
Zipping down the line into a nice little snapola. Another little setup turn right here. And then gets a couple pumps down the line. Throws it up for a little float. Bam! Everything perfectly poised. And then Kyle goes to upside down vertical right here. Slamming away right there. Just beautiful surfing. Nice setup, snap, and then boom, pushing the tail over. Again, here's the little barrel that he got. Didn't really get much out of it though, huh, for the score. Only a 3.4 on that little wave. And then Mick, with a 5.57, bottom turn slam, push another corner, and then finishes off on the inside.
Close heat at the moment, nothing separating these two competitors, just 1 point in it. Kaio Belli definitely has done the most committed surfing that we've seen in this heat on a good size set wave, and now he's up again. He has some big airs that he can go to, but at the moment, sticking to the rail, loading up for something special on the inside here. And he goes all out. Obviously that wind wreaking a bit of havoc, and he loses touch with his equipment.
Pressure. Mistimed, pushed it through the lip there, board released, got away from him. He wasn't centered or compacted enough over the board, so it getting away. Mick taking a look out the back there, but interesting. He's going to probably go over there and sit on old Kaio and wind this clock down, isn't he?
Not a lot of time left here. Fanning still in the lead. Probably nervous times there. Maybe identifying that Kaio fell on that last turn. That's why he didn't go that wave. But it's a close heat. A dodgy one for Mick going into these final stages. Kaio Belli down the line has picked off another wave. A little behind it at the moment, but doing well to stay out in front. But then again goes down, trying to execute something above the lip.
Well, not at this level, not against Mick Fanning. You can't do that. You know, it's like, come on. You got the opportunities twice now to get the score, and you've come undone. We don't get those kind of opportunities.
And you know that Mick out the back is going to be dangerous because he's not going to blow that opportunity to improve his lead.
I will say that I think that if Kaio finds another wave without priority down there and he surfs it well, they're going to give him the score, because that 5.57 they gave Mick, I think, was a little bit high.
Well, let's see what unfolds here. Kaio having a look at this left. He's scratching. He can't get into it. He's actually going over the falls. So things just not working out for the young Brazilian at the moment. 2 minutes remaining. He's got to get back out there quickly.
Oh, man. That is just a disaster right there. Giving everything he had to get into that. 2 falls and then going over the falls rodeo style, sitting on the board.
We're looking at Mick, and he's in that glorious position of already racking up 4 quarterfinals this year, so he's well placed. He's not in title contention. He's probably feeling relaxed, although inspired, whereas Kaio's got a lot riding on this heat. We're going to see the replay here, but with a heat win, he could jump a couple of spots on the leaderboard and really go into pipe feeling pretty comfortable, but at the moment, it's looking dicey.
I like it. I just said a minute ago, I'm sorry, but not at this level. I know he was trying to get into it, but going over the falls, rodeo style against Mick's not going to get you there.
Well, this one's not over just yet. Still,
he will. If he performs on the wave, judges are going to give it to him.
Well, Mick's going to let him go. A dangerous move for Fanning. What's this wave going to offer? He drives up into it. Kaio Belli. He's in there somewhere, but again, he gets pressed. He's caught inside, so he's had a few cracks at it now, and he just can't get the number he needs, a 4.4. And Fanning's just playing it cool out the back. He's just dropped anchor.
Well, that's Medina there. He's watching the sunset, psyching up for his heat. Solar gazing, as we've heard, really helps the soul.
30 seconds to go. I'm not sure if Kaio's going to get another opportunity here, Strider. He's on the inside. You know, not one of Mick's best performances, but I mean, tactically, he's been solid with priority here in the final stages.
He got it done, and it's over. Caio's just cooked himself, fallen off twice on the opportunity, and then struggled to get into the one and just went for a dive.
At the end of the day, it's not really about the numbers, just about where you finish in the heat. Fanning's going to finish in front here with a couple of 5-point rides. He'll need to step things up as he moves through the rounds because there's some very formed surfers already into the 4th round, including Miguel Pupo, who's already waiting for him in heat 4 of round 4. So Mick Fanning gets the jump on Caio. We're going to take a break. When we come back, don't miss this last heat of round 3. Gabriel Medina taking on Ethan Ewing. Welcome back. We're now into the last heat of the day, and it is a big one for Gabriel Medina. If he wants a shot at a world title going into pipe, he has to survive this clash against Ethan Ewing, the rookie Australian who's really struggled for big results this season. We'll see if he can break out of the 3rd round here for the first time. He's sitting way back at the moment, way down the line in 34th spot. But he's had a heat win at his last 3 events. We'll see if he can grab a couple here in Portugal. But as we said earlier on, Gabriel Medina is going to be a handful in these kind of conditions. So deadly out on the open face, an incredible barrel rider, and already making a big charge up the leaderboard after a win in France. Up 5 spots and still within reach of a world title.
I mean, what conditions is he not a threat? This guy's an animal. He is so good in all conditions, everything that we've seen him in. We've seen him in huge chokes, pipeline, 2-foot Brazil. I mean, there's not really a kink in the armor.
No, he's amazing. Medina is a freak, and at the halfway mark, the past couple of years, you know, we've really all but written him off, but we just know how dangerous he can be in the back half of the season. He's proven that again in 2017. And I think at this point, John Florence is probably more concerned with what Medina's doing than what Jordy Smith is up to, because pipe is one of Gabe's favourite waves. He's going to take off here, looking left. He tucks in. He's deep in the barrel, looking for an exit. Can he make it through this one? He's still going, and he holds on. How good is he under pressure? Amazing stuff. The lights were out inside that barrel. It was so dark. He was so deep. But he ended up putting the lights on, Strider.
Oh, I think he sees the light, my friend. He sees the light. That was a proof of him knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Look at this guy. pulls in. He's deep already right there. You're looking into it. He disappears once, twice. He's gone 3 times, comes out of the end, just gets lipped in the head. What? I got this.
Certainly got a big ticker, and he hangs on for the completion. So expecting a really solid score here.
Wow.
I mean, 2014 world champ.
Talk about threading the needle. Here we go with a slow-mo of this thing. So driving, pushing that rail down, disappears once, disappears twice, a third time, reappears right here, and then has to turn out through the doggy door as the lip hits him in the head and he pushes through. I mean, if it would have been a clean exit, it would have been a 10.
Sebastian Zeitz had the highest scoring ride of the event up until this point, a 9.7, but Medina has kicked off this crucial heat with a 9.77, an incredibly deep barrel ride. And Ethan Ewing now is going to be up against it for the next 25 minutes. But it's incredible what he's able to do once he engages, and I think that's what's really hurt him this season. You know, he's carrying some very poor results this year, Strider, and if he can just click into gear at the beginning of the year and through that first leg, he'll be winning world titles again for sure. And who knows, he might just get there this year the way he's surfing.
Well, after he won his first, there was a lot of people that said he was just going to go on a roll.
Here he is up again, looking for a backup number now. He's going to opt out of this one though.
So when he won his first world title, there was so much chatter about how he was going to go on a roll and get multiple world titles. And we haven't seen it. And it's been interesting because there are no kinks in his armor in my mind. And maybe it was just like, you know, the champagne was settling after his first world title, being the first Brazilian world champion on tour. You know, I'm not sure how it played out. There's been a lot of attention to Gabriel Medina, socially the biggest and most well-known athlete on tour. And so, you know, maybe there's all these different things that he's been getting into and doing and having fun with and enjoying his fame and his title and maybe running with that, and maybe it's just now burning off and maybe it's now the hunger's back.
It's funny though. I mean, you talk about it, the way he hasn't been able to find that second world title. He still finished third the past 2 seasons. So even though he kind of drops the ball at times, he's got the skills at the back end of the year to get himself back to the top end of the ratings.
But like you were saying, he's leaving it too late. He's not getting on that roll soon enough.
Well, it's all about now for Medina. He's still got a shot at the world title. Ethan Ewing, though, surfing well here at the moment. A nice sequence of manoeuvres to make it through to the inside. Does it rival the 9.77? No, but it gets him in the heat. He was comboed prior to that one, but it wasn't a huge combo because Medina hasn't put a backup number up just yet.
Ethan's going to have to surf out of his socks in this heat to try and bring it to Medina, because the type of surfing that Medina does, he lays into turns. He's pushing really hard. And just watching Ethan there on that wave, I think technically surfing perfectly sound, but not laying a lot into it. When he comes off the bottom there, he comes up into the bowl. Right here is another good turn, but not a lot of oomph in it, not a lot of effort, it looks like. And even the finish here, he's got the opportunity. He just kind of banged it. Doesn't look like he's really laying into his surfing. And that's something I think, in order for Ethan Ewing to turn the corner, turn his years around here as a grommet, as a youth, as a rookie coming on tour, he's going to have to start pushing a lot harder. He's going to have to engage that rail a little bit more and come from within with those turns.
Have to agree with you there. It's a 5-point ride for Ethan Ewing. I think he's got a lot of growth left in his surfing, though.
Yeah, definitely. He's really young. He's got plenty of time to put that core strength together, work his soul into his surfing, and really start laying down those beautiful open turns.
So he has chipped away at Medina's lead here. Ethan Ewing with that 5-point ride. Needs a 5.28, but not sure how long that requirement is going to last. Ethan having a look at this one. It's a late takeoff, and he's going to pull straight through the back. So Just prior to Ethan's ride, we did get the opportunity to chat with Gabriel Medina. Mick Fanning was being interviewed at the time. He was buzzing about Medina's opening ride. We're going to throw to that interview now with Rosie Hodge.
Mick Fanning, cool, calm, collected, as usual. Even when your competitor needs a 4.4, you just stayed out there, held your ground. What's it like having that composure?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You're probably freaking out on the inside as Gabe just got so pitted. Wowzers. I think he just got like a really big score. I might have to ask Judson what the score was. But yeah, I guess, you know, it's hard. It's hard to get scores out there, you know. Like, he had the 1-7, and then other than that, you know, he had a couple of threes. And, you know, sometimes in these grindy heats, a couple of fives will do it. And so I just sort of I knew if I saw a wave that I thought he could get a 4 on, I would go. But then if I wasn't going to bet in mine, I wasn't going. I was just going to sit and pull up anchor.
And when we think about what we've seen today, there's been, you know, a lot of top seeds going down. Yesterday, Owen, Maddie Wilco, Geordie Smith, Adriano de Souza. Just your take on the world title race again.
Oh, yeah, it's there was a lot of big stories that went down over the last couple of days. You know, I probably... you know, Geordie going down was a huge one. You know, he was the closest to John, and John surfed amazing heat. You know, Vasco really took it to him and really gave him everything. That's what Jaddy said, 977. But yeah, look, you know, that kid out in the water, he's incredible, you know, and for him to, you know, win France, put himself back in the race, and he's got really small throwaways as well, so, you know, I wouldn't put it past him to win this one as well. Hopefully I'd meet him in the semi or something, but yeah, look, he's in incredible form, so, you know, I think John and Gabe are so incredible, both of them. I think I would love to see those two go to pipe and just battle it out. It's going to be incredible.
And you know, you mentioned Jadson Andre. We've been talking about the world title, but on the flip side, we think about qualification. You know, we heard Josh Kerr saying that he's pretty much going to hang it up, whether he qualifies or not. So what's on the line with these last two events?
Yeah, you know, I guess everyone sort of focuses on the world title, but there's a lot more stress going in the back end. You know, these guys, you know, that are sitting around the mid-20s, the teens, those guys are really struggling there. And, you know, there was a huge heat today where B just made a silly mistake, and he had a great heat, but him and Connor were fighting out for that next spot, you know, and to keep their spot in. And but yeah, there's some guys that are just right there. It's you know, Kanoa's having a bit of a run right now, and Italo was doing really well, and unfortunately us. But yeah, you know, it's hard to see your friends after so many years get to that point. But you know, sometimes it's you know, we've got to go and move on and do some different things. We're starting to get old in the tooth, and I'm sure people are getting sick of looking at our heads.
No way, can't wait to see you get a big result here in Portugal, Mick. Back to you guys.
So that interview from a little earlier on, but Mick Fanning looking pretty comfortable as he moves through the rounds. He's already into heat 4 of round 4 with Miguel Pupo, and there's only one spot left in the 4th round. At the moment, it's looking like Gabriel Medina is going to be the man to fill that place. He's found that backup number. Strider a 6.5 for this one.
Just banged it all the way to the beach. Speed float to start, then just went to town on the lip, putting up the number he needed. Right here up into it. Nice float. Comes around the corner. Buckets. I mean, Christmas trees. Another one. And then this one in the inside. Crack. Are you kidding me? We lit that thing up. I love it. And a 6.5. You know, I would have even gone a little higher with. I love the way he was surfing, the flow, the energy, but really restrained as Gabriel Medina, though. You know what he's capable of. So great score, great surfing. It's going to be a tough one for the young man Ethan Ewing to battle out of this one.
Well, he's comboed once again here. And I think you bring up a great point about Gabriel. A little restrained on that wave, but even restrained, you make some comparisons to the size of the turns that he was throwing down compared to Ethan, and you can see why he got a 1.5 points on the young Australian on the scores from the judges, because he just has that extra punch when he hits the lip. A lot of spray coming off that rail. And Ethan now trying to break combination. Has a nice looking left-hander here. Grabs the wall. Finds a clean exit. Goes to lay down a turn to add some extra points, but face plants. And Medina up now. What's he going to go for? Big alley-oop, and he sticks it, rides out of this one, straight off the roof and into more. He's starting to feel the flow, having a good time out here. So the stress has now left him, and that's when we get excited, because when he's freed up, he's such a showman. He likes to really throw down some big moves, and that was his real go-to. We've already seen a big alley-oop already in this event.
Let's just talk about that scenario right there where, you know, Gabriel coming down the line, lofty, beautiful alley-oop, sticks it right in front of Ethan Ewing. So, you know, you got to think, Ethan's in combo, catches that first wave, and then has to watch Gabriel Medina just go to town.
The thing we love about Medina is he has no real need to catch that ride. He's sitting out the back with priority. He's got the young kid comboed, and he's in total control. Yet the showman in him, he just can't hold back. He has to go for it. And that's kind of the thing, I think, that puts the fear into his rivals, the other title contenders. When they're seeing him surf and just get comfortable, it's something that will make you think about your position and the heats that you have to get through to stay ahead of this guy.
That was the be humble, sit down pose right there. I think that was a pretty solid effort and a great claim. And I love, like you were saying, the showmanship in his ability to go above the lip, putting his opponent in combo, then coming out of it into something like that, where his opponent got a nice little barrel, came out, tried to lay down a turn, and just face planted. You know, that would be more nerves than anything, I think, because Ethan, we know he's, you know, capable of beautiful things on the corner there, and then to come up and see that.
Ethan's best shot might be to really make good use of this priority and sit and wait for a bomb set to come, because the big sets have been getting some payoff. Medina's about to drop in another big score here. It might go into the excellent range.
I mean, do you honestly think that Ethan's going to battle back here in this last 13 minutes out of combo against Medina, the way he's surfing?
Well, sometimes the wave here can be the hero, and if you position yourself well and you've got priority, you can get a couple of really good pits and turn a heat, but it's going to be difficult because Medina's just put away a 7.57. Ethan Ewing now looking for a huge heat score total of 17.34. This is the biggest heat score total of the event so far.
Yeah. I mean, and Medina's got so much momentum. Just when he got started with that wave, he just really pulled a lot of energy into his side of the field.
Something rolling in. Ethan Ewing's got priority, but Medina's the surfer that's just chasing down all the opportunity out there in the lineup. He's not going to go on this one, though. 13 minutes remaining. Medina well out in front. Ethan Ewing chasing a two-wave total. We'll see if he can do it after the break. Back to the MEO, Rip Curl Pro Portugal. Gabriel Medina on fire. John Florence has a fantastic opportunity to stitch up a second world title here in Portugal, but Medina is hot on his heels at this point in time. A big heat score total of 17.34, the highest of the event so far. And he's left the rookie chasing a two-wave total, a monster two-wave total of 17.34. Unbelievable stuff from Medina when the pressure is on.
Like you said, the highest two-wave total of the event so far. He's got him in combo. A surfer who's behind needs a combination of 2 scores in order to take the lead in this heat. So, you know, it's not that I don't think Ethan can't do it. I think he can, like you said, if the waves arrive, but it's just going to be tough with this time on the clock and what the tactician of Gabriel Medina, because as soon as Ethan gets one good wave, Gabriel will be all over him and will not let him get another one.
Yeah, there's those combos that are kind of easy to turn around, like at the start of the heat when Ethan only needed a 10-point something for a 2-wave total, and he was able to chip his way out of it. But this is the big one, 17.34. He'd have to put up the second highest, or he'd have to put up another of the highest heat score totals to have a chance. He'll need one of the highest scoring rides of the event to do it. He's got that priority, and there's still 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, you have to put up the highest heat total of the event to take the lead.
Super impressive, Gabriel Medina. 16 finals he surfed, 8 championship tour wins, claiming one at the last stop on the tour. As we see Ethan swinging on this one, grabbing the rail. The technique is there, but just not enough size in that wave, not enough girth in that barrel, and nothing on the end of that ride that he can dig into and add some extra points.
And then you see Gabriel paddled over. He sat right in front of where he'd be paddling back out. And now with priority, he's just going to basically follow him around the lineup. Can't help himself. Got a beautiful tube. Got in there deep at one moment. How much fun is that coming out of the tube with all that speed, too? Even a kick out feels good.
So at this point in time, looking at Ethan Ewing's situation, back in 34th position, you know, even if he got through this round, he'd have to get a lot further through the draw here at Portugal and probably final at Pipe to have a shot at jumping into the top 22. On the QS, he's in 61st spot. How do you like his chances over there in Hawaii?
I don't. I haven't seen him perform in bigger surf, so my knowledge of what he can do in bigger waves, like Haleiwa and Sunset, I haven't really seen him perform in those waves and understand how good he can be. So it's to me, it's an X factor, I guess. I don't have the knowledge to really fill that question, but from what I've seen of him so far, it's going to be tough, really tough, for him to qualify on the QS.
And we'll see how he fares. Just 2 big QS 10,000s left over there in Hawaii for the Triple Crown. Ethan Ewing will be competing in them and giving it his all and really throwing himself into some huge turns if he wants to make the grade for the championship tour once again. But if he doesn't, I think he's young enough and solid enough that he'll work his way through the QS once again.
Most definitely. And, you know, we've seen it. These events can go down in 2-foot Haleiwa. Could be little lefts over there. You never know what's going down in Hawaii or what you're going to get.
Another competitor who did reasonably well in this contest but might be in danger of falling off the championship tour with the last event is Kaio Obeli. He just fell to Mick Fanning in the last heat. He's with Rosie.
Yeah, on the cusp, Kaio Obeli. Today, Super Tubos was not your friend. You're going to have to turn around at Pipe and really solidify your spot on tour. You know, what do you take away from this event, and what can we look forward to at Pipeline?
Yeah, this event was good and bad at the same time. I only had one good heat, and the last heat I fell a little short. And yeah, I just looking for a Pipe. I think Pipe is a really good wave, and it's also really challenging. Just like here, it's kind of, you got to get really lucky to find and be on the right momentum. And yeah, just I feel good. I feel ready and not scared to go to Pipe and do work.
And we've been talking about it. You had that injury, and just to have that come back and feel healthy again in surfing, that's got to make you happy.
Yeah, I was happy until France, and I thought I was healed, and probably the cortisone shot wore off, and I started feeling a lot of pain in the last week and a half. And now I'm gonna go to the doctors in California in the next couple of days and see if I can get any treatment better.
We'll be hoping for the best for you, and hopefully you feel 100% come Pipeline. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rosie. Kyle Belly in 166 spot on the QS, so was really relying on a solid finish here to jump a couple of places. And he'll be wary of some competitors that are behind him on the Jeep leaderboard and still alive in the mix. Those competitors are Kanoa Igarashi, Miguel Pupo, Leonardo Fioravanti, and Josh Kerr. I mean, they've got to go a long way in this contest to get ahead of Kaio, but you just never know what could happen. So we'll be watching that.
But he was saying, too, he was hurt. He's got some, you know, his injury's actually flaring up, so...
He'll be right for pipe.
Yeah.
As we see there in the blue jersey, Ethan Ewing pulling in once again. Not going to find the exit. 5.5 minutes to go. And I'm looking forward to this big WSL post show, wrapping up all the day's highlights, looking at some of those huge upset results and some of the world title contenders falling out of the mix. It'll be Joe Tapel, Martin Potter, and yourself, Strider, going through all those really intense moments. You're going to save a bit of fire for the post show or what?
I got plenty left.
All right, that's coming up in a little over 5 minutes. But right now, Gabriel Medina sitting in a great position. And I just love how locked into the battle he is. We could see just through our little window here, Charlie, his stepfather, just telling him to hold that priority, control the lineup. They're not really ready to turn the switch off just yet. They're really locked in this battle.
Charlie checking the time. A recap. Here's the first wave of the heat. Are you kidding me? Triple section disappearing acts coming out with a huge 977. Bang. How do you like that? Taking the highest heat wave.
Amazing stuff.
Of the event so far. Then Ethan, a little fire though. You know, he kind of got wound up a bit. A couple snaps down the line, smashing it, finishing strong, but just needs to push a little harder to get that score going into the excellent range. And then Ethan had to watch this, the alley-oop going into the 5.75. Beautiful work right there. Comes around the corner for one last tap. And then the sit down, be humble. Pretty solid.
7.57 for that alley-oop. Whenever that wind starts blowing, Medina's always got a great shot at locking in some big numbers. Impressive stuff. Still out there with priority at the moment. And Ethan Ewing during that recap had a crack at this one, Strider.
Beautiful little tube time. Pushing through the end of it there, so he'll put up another mid-range score. It's definitely not going to be anything close to scratching the surface of this combination.
A 5.4 for Ethan. Medina still maintaining control as we get down to the 3-minute mark. The result, it's kind of in the bag for the 2014 world champion. But he's keeping a close eye on the rookie.
I have to just go there, my all-time favorite commentator, Chick Hearn, and say that the jello's jiggling. The eggs are hard. It's in the fridge for this man, Gabriel Medina.
Loading up for something special on the inside. Again to the alley-oop. Doesn't quite find that transition to make that a greased landing. But pretty impressive. We love the fact that he's still throwing some big airs out there at the moment. Just over 2 minutes remaining now. Let's have another look at it.
Gets a wind up. Plenty of speed coming into this. Stepping the foot back, moving the front foot up, into the wind. Doesn't quite stay over his board during the alley-oop, so coming off of the backside of it. Not that he might not make it with 1 foot on doing a rodeo flip in France, but still pretty sick.
Like a lot of the surfers on the championship tour, Medina, he just loves riding waves. You know, anytime we're at an event and there's free surfing going on, he's staying out in the water for a long period of time, catching a lot of waves. I think he probably catches more waves than anyone else in those free surfing moments. But he'll pick off the insiders, the scraps.
God, he's a nightmare in the water to surf with. The guy catches everything. It's just like, come on, give me a break. Actually, he's pretty nice to me. He looks over at me, and I'm in the spot. Doesn't try and take my wave.
One thing it does for him, though, being so busy in the lineup, it gives him lots of reps at those kind of manoeuvres. So when he pulls the jersey on and he's in a situation in a heat and he needs a big score, you know, he's really got those turns dialed. We've seen him attempt a few alley-oops in this event. I think he's 2 for 3 as far as his strike rate goes. That one unsuccessful, but really solid on his feet. Just 55 seconds remaining in what has been a foregone conclusion for a long period of time now. This heat was wrapped up pretty much in the first exchange. A 9.77 for Medina. An easy backup for a 6.5. He improved on that, 7.57, and Ethan Ewing really had no answers.
No, it's all she wrote, and, well, Ethan going to lose out here, and it looks like out of the 3 Musketeers, Mick Fanning going to be the one leading the charge.
Well, here we go, Medina just having a bit of fun out here at the moment as Ethan just enjoys one more wave here at Portugal. Unfortunately, that wave is unsuccessful. The heat is coming to a close. Medina is into the 4th round. He'll meet Miguel Pupo and Mick Fanning. And we have our final 12 here at stop number 10 on the championship tour. That world title race is going to get interesting. There'll be plenty of talk about that in the WSL post show, which is just around the corner with Joe Tapel, Martin Potter and Strider Wozalewski. Don't miss it. Plenty of highlights to go through and some big upsets to review.